Hello, Waterloo Region. You're listening to Meet the Candidate on CKMS-FM 102.7 Radio Waterloo. My name is Bob Jonkman. In this episode, we meet Marjorie Knight, the NDP candidate for Cambridge. In Meet the Candidate, Radio Waterloo provides 25 minutes of free airtime to Waterloo Region candidates running in the Ontario provincial election. This is not an interview, but 25 minutes of unstructured time. Candidates could tell you about their party platform, the local Waterloo Region issues they'll be tackling, why they're running, or what they do outside of politics. Note that the views expressed are not necessarily those of Radio Waterloo Board of Directors, volunteers, sponsors, or advertisers. Now, let's meet the candidate, Marjorie Knight.
Hello, Bob. Thank you so much for having me. This is a wonderful opportunity to reach out to people in Waterloo Region and especially in Cambridge. So my name is Marjorie Knight. Who am I? I am a family outreach worker for the House of Friendship. I'm also on the board of the shelter in Cambridge and Aqua. I am a co-creator on PESH, the Plan to End Chronic Homelessness, and I work within my community. I work with those who are considered vulnerable, families with children mostly, who are living below the poverty line, who struggle. And we work to find ways of connecting them with supports and ways to help them grow and thrive, especially the children. I think we can all agree that we are living in some difficult times and that a lot of people are struggling in our community. What we have here in this election is an opportunity. Yes, should we be having an election this early? Should we be having one in the middle of winter? Should we be having one at all? But it is happening. It is happening. And how we respond to this election is going to be very important. There are issues here that affect all of us. But the biggest issue that affects all of us is the fact that we are not going out to vote. More people did not vote in the last election than anything else. There was a 43% voting population in Ontario. This is not something that we should be proud of. And in fact, this is something that I think we should really work on. If we want to see change, if we really want to see a difference, then we need to vote. I have heard many people say to me that my vote will not make a difference. But your vote might be the vote that changes everything. People lose by 100 votes. People can lose by 1 vote. It could be your vote. I want people to think about what is important to them. It's not about the politics and the politicians. It's about the issues that matter to you. Do you care about the school system that your children are in? Do you care that their buildings are falling apart and that the air quality in them is poor? Do you care that your child who needs extra attention leaves school at 10 a.m. every day because they say we don't have enough staff to accommodate your child? Do you care about the education system? And what about the education system do you want to see? What do you want to change? How can this change? Do you care about the cost of living? Do you care about the price of gas, the price of groceries? Do you think this can be changed? Who do you think can effect this change? What would happen if you voted? Would you be able to have a change in this? What do you think about housing? What do you think about the cost of rent? How do you feel about the possibility that you may never be able to buy your first home? How do you feel about being able to age in place in your home that you've had for 30, 40 years and being able to afford it? Are there things you can do to change that? Who will change those things for you? Who is on your side? Who is not on your side? Can you vote to change that? What is happening with our encampments and our homelessness? Are there things that can be done? Are there solutions not being taken? Are there solutions that still need to be found? Is it not a problem at all? These are questions that we need to ask ourselves. And when you ask yourself these questions, you need to look at the different political platforms and say, who is interested in making these changes? When we look at who is homeless in our communities, persons living with disabilities, persons on assistance, persons who are retired and on a very fixed income, a lot of the elderly who have been priced out of their homes, who could not afford property taxes. Who helps these people when it comes to them becoming homeless? And how do we fix the problem? These are things that are in my community that I look at every day. And I struggle with some of it. And I struggle alongside people who are trying to find solutions and ways to deal with this. I have kids who they're in school and they look forward to graduating and going to university, but the cost is prohibitive and they're not able to. Now we're adding to the fact that they can't even get the programs that they want anymore. So many have been cut. With all of these issues, I ask people to stop and think about it and think about what you want to be done. And then I need you to think of who is going to help you to get there. But most of all, what I want you to do is vote. If you do not vote, things will not change. And I am about change. I am about solutions. I am about hope. I'm about collaboration. Everyone is talking about tariffs. And one thing is clear. I mean, we have already in the past dealt with the problem of tariffs. So it's not that we don't have experience in dealing with it. But at this time, in this situation, it is perilous for many of us and many of our businesses to have tariffs. I want to be a part of the team that deals with the tariffs. We need to have a strong team from the federal government to the provincial government, to the municipal government, to you and I, everyday people, whose choices and decisions can help. But again, we are at the same bar where we have to make decisions about who is really interested in being on the team, who is willing to work collaboratively with everyone involved to get a solution. Who do you want to lead you there? And the only way you will have a say, the only way you'll be part of the decision is if you vote. We are blessed in Canada. We have a system that allows us to vote freely, without fear of violence or ridicule or any of those things that happen around the world. We are free to go and vote, and to vote our conscience, and to vote for what we want to see. But the important thing is to vote. I don't think I can make that more clear, but that is what is very important to me. I am running on a platform that is going to bring investment to our schools. We are going to deal with the backlog of repair. We're going to look at all the educators that are in the system. Not all educators are treated the same by the government. Many are underpaid. Many have to work more than one job. And on top of that, there are not enough of other educators in the classroom. And our children suffer from this. And so an investment is required. And the Ontario NDP, we are going to make that investment. It's not just that our children are the future, and we sing that song together, but they are the drivers of our economy of tomorrow. They were the ones who will be creating the jobs that we can't even fathom at this point. They are going to be the inventors. They're going to be the engine. They're going to be the owners. They're going to be the future economy. And they are going to make sure that this country continues to grow. How can we not invest in their education? How can we not make it easy for them to be able to choose a path, whichever path they need, whether it is through the trades, whether it's academic, whether it's a hybrid, whether it's technology, or technologies we haven't even thought of yet. But if we don't invest in them, then we don't grow as a country. And then we will have a problem. For decades, our governments have stopped building homes. Once upon a time, we built co-ops. We built supportive housing. We built social housing. But for the last 30 years, we have stopped. And further to that, we have downloaded the cost of building and housing on the municipalities who were never, ever meant to have that burden. And that burden has fallen to the people. This is why we have so much homelessness. We don't have homes for people that they can afford. Our pay does not keep pace with inflation, and we are unable to look after ourselves in terms of housing. And this is a travesty. The Ontario NDP is going to work on this. We are going to get back into the building of homes for people. We are going to partner with, we have organizations such as Induel, who are specialists in building things like supportive housing and co-ops. Our nonprofits and our churches have been showing us the way of how you can build well on a budget and provide more housing. But the government needs to be involved at every level and not just the municipal level. And so we will be uploading that burden from the municipal back to the provincial. It is important that we do this. The other one that is really close to my heart is healthcare. I remember being in the hospital. I had suffered a heart attack. And for 3 days, I was in Emerge, being looked after there by nursing staff. Doctors, nurses, orderlies, all of the healthcare staff. Because they didn't have a bed. They did an absolutely fabulous job looking after me. But imagine if I had been able to have been in a bed right away. The extra stress on the Emerge staff would not have been there. And it would have been a much smoother experience. We don't have enough nurses. We don't have enough technicians. We don't have enough beds. We don't have enough doctors. Our emergency room is overwhelmed. What do we need to do to solve this? We need to make sure that we have more spaces in our medical schools. We need to have more spaces. We need to have more programs for residents from other countries who have the ability to come here and pick up some of the slack. We also need to make use of the medical people that we have here now who have come from other countries, who in their countries are doctors and nurses and technicians. And we have to have a proper pathway of getting them accredited, of making them be able to do exams to see where they're at, to have them work under other doctors until we can be confident that they are at our standards. But the important thing is we need to get them in the system and working. That has not happened at all in the last 2+ years. And our nurses, there should be a nurse to patient ratio. This makes sure that adequate, competent care happens for each patient. It is so difficult to do that now. We are burning out the nurses that we have. We have not invested in nurses. We have cut their pay significantly with that illegal bill that was brought by the Ford government. We have made it so that nurses go to work in private clinics because they actually get paid decently there. And so they are leaving in droves. We have changed, for instance, the accreditation exam for nurses in Ontario. Once upon a time, it was a Canadian exam adjudicated by Canadians and assessed by Canadians. Now, the exam that the nurses are doing is from the US, and it is assessed under US standards, not Canadian standards. So we have nurses who can do this exam and then they can move to the States to be nurses there. Why are we not doing Canadian exams here with our nurses? Why are we not hiring more nurses? Why are we not paying them appropriately? Why are we not looking after our hospitals? And how do we keep people out of the hospital and out of Emerge? We have family doctors. Where are our family doctors? Millions of Ontarians do not have a family doctor. And this means that our hospitals are constantly under stress. So if they're constantly under stress for having no family doctors, plus not enough staff, this is when things are dangerous. And this is something that we need to change. Ontario NDP is committed to being a part of this change, of actually really investing in the hospital and the healthcare system. Our public healthcare system is one of the best things about Canada, and it has been crumbling and dying and underinvested in, underfunded by this government. And the previous government, we have listened many times to liberal and conservative governments talking about the fact that the per capita cost of healthcare in Ontario is the least in the entire country. And I do not believe that is something to be proud of. I think we deserve better than that. So, my bottom line is, for these issues that are so important to me, and I hope important to you, are ones that are top of my list to get changed. To invest, to grow, which will then in turn allow us to thrive and prosper. You cannot have an economy without proper health care. If your workforce does not have proper health care, they have nothing. And we will lose. So it's one thing to say that, yes, we want a strong economy. If our people are not healthy, if our children are not educated, if we don't have a stability where people have a roof over their head and the ability to look after themselves and their families, our economy will not grow and it will not thrive. At the end of the day, it's the people who make the purchases. It's the people who support the businesses. If the people cannot do so, then they will fail. In the interest of our economy, in the interest of our community, we need these changes to be made. And the only way that these changes are going to happen is if we go out on the 27th and vote. And for those who are saying, well, at this time, I am a person of no fixed address. I do not have an address. I am couch surfing. You are able to vote. Your friend can vouch for you at the polls and allow you to vote. If you are homeless, even if you're in an encampment, you are able to go to where you get service from, such as the shelter, St. John's Kitchen, Aqua, Mac Center, and they will write a form for you that vouches for you, that allows you to vote. Everyone can vote. And in fact, you can vote every day up until the 26th at your local office. So, vote. That is the only way that we will make the change. Thank you for listening.
You've been listening to Marjorie Knight, NDP candidate for Cambridge, on Meet the Candidate. The views expressed were those of the candidate, not necessarily those of Radio Waterloo Board of Directors, the volunteers, sponsors, or advertisers. All Waterloo Region candidates were invited to meet the candidate, but some candidates have declined to appear on the radio, and some have not responded at all. Meet the Candidate airs every weekday at 9 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. until Tuesday, the 25th of February, on CKMS-FM 102.7 Radio Waterloo. Remember, the election is on Thursday, 27th February. Show notes, podcast, and video will be available shortly on the Radio Waterloo website at radiowaterloo.ca/MTC. The show is produced by me, Bob Jonkman, in the studios of CKMS-FM. The theme music is Falling Sky by Jason Shaw of Audionautics and used under a Creative Commons Attribution Only 4.0 international license.